You niggas like y'all got to pay to give a nigga love, man.
Lili hayale rongo kona lili akige ni haliselo lili hayale rongo kona lili akige ni haliselo ni ni gamu ala bana na ni gamu mere hunwa yo ni ni gamu ala bana na ni gamu mere hunwa yo
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're live and direct. This is Garifuna Music on Top with DJ Labuga. It's 7:05 Pacific Standard Time, and it is 10:05 in the East Coast. I want to welcome each and every one of you tonight as we welcome Miss Garifuna 2015-2016, Miss Amenica Zuñiga, who is here in the studios. We're live and direct from the studios in Long Beach through radiocentroamerica.com in Los Angeles and through www.lmbwoods.com in the Bronx. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into the show. So we want to welcome Amenica tonight, and we are going to play the promo, the intro of this wonderful radio show that you listen to every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. from the Port of Long Beach. ¿Qué motia? Welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. We are live from the studios in Long Beach through radiocentroamerica.com and lmbwoods.com radio in New York every Wednesday from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We bring to you the best of recording artists, musicians, producers, and musical directors behind Garifuna Music. So welcome to Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga, and enjoy my show tonight.
International Film Festival 2016 from May 26th through the 30th at the Electric Lodge Performing Arts. For more information, go to www.garifunafilmfestival.com. Documentaries, films, live cultural performances, don't miss it. The 5th Annual Garifuna Indigenous International Film Festival 2016.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome tonight. Wonderful show again every Wednesday. Tonight we are going to have a wonderful interview with two people who are in the movement. One is our very good friend, Miss Amenica Zuñiga, who is the elected Miss Garifuna 2015-2016 at a big event that Los Angeles Garinagu celebrated during the 19th of November festivities. It's one of the biggest things here on the West Coast and in the United States, I would say. This was the beginning of the month of November. It was actually the first weekend of November, where a group of young Garinagu who have been in and out of the I would say in the community doing things, observing the elders doing a lot of things, and so they took the reign and decided to take this challenge of bringing back the picking of Miss Garifuna. And this is an event that had been canceled, or I would say nobody had picked it up for the past 15 years. So, what was that? 5 years, was it? I think it was longer than that. Okay, so Amenica just corrected me. Okay, so what they did is they went around with the elders and they asked questions about, how come there is no picking of the queen. It is one of the biggest things right along the festivities that take place here in Los Angeles. Not only is there a mass that is celebrated year after year since the 60s. But also there is a open air cultural festival that also takes place in San Rafael Catholic Church, right on Vermont and Florence. And preview to that is that it was originally created, like we said before, it was originally created to help Garinagu, who passed away here in the United States, to bring them back to their home country, whether it was Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, or Nicaragua. But then it became a big movement called the Garifuna Settlement Day Committee, and that's what happened here. I'm trying to put the ends together because it's a big celebration. So we want to welcome Amenica tonight. Amenica is wonderful person, a young woman who has excelled in many aspects in life. One of them is being trilingual. She speaks very fluent Spanish, Garifuna, and English. She's also gifted as far as her voice and everything, but I want to get into that a little bit later. I want to go through the questions real quick. But first of all, let me give you the microphone so you could say hello to the beautiful audience that is tuning in tonight and every Wednesday from 7 to 9, Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. Welcome, Amenica.
Hi, everyone. Good evening, Buitiguyo. It's nice to be here in Long Beach with Ronnie and his beautiful wife, Cheryl. And I'm really happy to be here, ready for the questions whenever you are.
Okay, good. Thank you, Amenica. I know you have to fight traffic right now coming from Los Angeles all the way to the Port of Long Beach. Traffic is horrible, as we all know, those people who live or have been to Los Angeles. So I just wanted to make sure that the Amenica feels good. So we're going to bring her a little cup of coffee so she could relax and of course enjoy this interview, because this is where we really get one-on-one, where we give the audience the value of the person, how much we care about the person that we interview and what he or she has to offer. You were born in Los Angeles. Can you share with us a little bit about your birthplace and what it was like to grow up in two different worlds, one being the Garifuna world with your family, and then the other one was the American, of course, going to school and all of that?
Okay, so as you said, I was born in LA, but our home was like a little slice of Hopkins, because my dad raised us all speaking Garifuna only in the household. So even I grew up, my first few years of life, I didn't speak English until my mom started teaching me English right before I started school and in kindergarten. So growing up in two different worlds, it could be a challenge sometimes, but then it also was a constant reminder of my uniqueness as an individual living out here, because I always knew that there was something different and I had something special about me, and my parents raised us, all 7 of us, knowing that fact.
Wow, that's amazing, Amenica. Because I also heard from the story of one of my best friends in New York. He's also he's a musician. His name is DJ Irvin Arzu, and we know him as Irvsky. Irvin Arzu was born to Guatemalan parents, and exactly like you described it, at home, it was all Garifuna. It was like a piece of Livingston in their home. It was an experience that I can't even relate to, because when you speak to DJ Irvin, the man is very fluent in Garifuna, and I asked him one day, so you were born in Livingston, right? He goes, no, man, I was born in the Bronx. The Bronx is my home. And then when I see this guy interact with other Garifuna born who are in New York now, I'm like amazed to see how fluent and how into the culture he is. But it's just a natural, when you're born in a home, like you said, a little piece of Hopkins. So it is a unique experience, and I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners out there who could relate to this. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for listening. This is Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. We're live every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. We have our wonderful Miss Garifuna Queen, Miss Garifuna 2015-16, Amenica Zuñiga. Who are your parents? Tell us about your parents a little bit, please.
Okay, so I gave a little bit of this background in the pageant, actually, but for the listeners who were not able to attend the pageant, my father is Eric Zuñiga, also known as Traffico. He is from Hopkins, but he was born in Youngtown, which is a lot of families had to move from Youngtown to Hopkins because a hurricane destroyed it back in 1942, I believe. And they're one of the first families to have, one of the first Garifuna families to have lived in Hopkins. And so most of my family from that side, from my dad's side, is down there in Hopkins. My mother is Emma Patillo. She's from Dangriga. She's Lobana from Dangriga. She was born and raised there, but the way she speaks, you would think that she popped up from the middle of the soil in the United States because she's more American than I am. At times, but, you know, I always bring up the fact that her accent has not gone away, even though she's been here most of her life at this point. But yeah, it's Eric Zuñiga and Emma Patillo Zuñiga.
Wow. So, since you mentioned the pageant that took place on the first weekend of the 19th of November, is there a video? Did anybody videotape the event?
I've heard that there's a video out there, but I haven't seen it yet, and I really would like to because since I was in the pageant and I was high energy, I don't remember half of what I did on stage, and I have no idea what the other girls did because I was running back and forth to change and getting bombarded with, oh, you're doing so great, and all all the people talking to me as I ran back and forth to change my outfit. So I would love to see video of the pageant itself, and I hope someone out there is listening and has a full video beginning to end, because that would be great, and I would really appreciate the opportunity to watch it.
Thank you for that information, Amenica. So we are going to reach out to the producers of the show and to encourage them to try to get a copy. And if we have to buy it, we'll buy it, because I would love to relive those moments. It was a wonderful event, well put together. To be a comeback, I think it was very strong comeback. And not only was it amusing, but it was just an amazing scenery of culture. There was dances, there was music. Clayton Williams came all the way from Hopkins to perform, and so it was just a great event. So I hope that somebody out there who was videotaping could put it together and make it available. So I want to send a big shout out to all of our beautiful people from St. Vincent and the Grenadines who are listening, to Lucette King and everybody else who is tuning in tonight, whether you are in New York, Los Angeles, Houston. I know Houston is on the line checking us out. Also Omar Suazo, also known as Baba Clay, who will be coming up next after this interview. He will be here at 8 o'clock. And so we shall continue then with the interview with Amenica Zuñiga, who is Miss Garifuna 2015-16 here in Los Angeles. What memorable event or events do you remember about growing up speaking Garifuna in America? I've heard stories of some Garifuna Americans going to school and their parents, who were full Garifuna blooded and all of that, will put cassava or ereba in their lunch bag, and so when they go to school, the kids are, what's that? What are you eating? You know what I mean? Instead of having a peanut butter sandwich or stuff like that. So tell us about a memorable event or events that you remember growing up speaking Garifuna in America.
Okay, so to touch on what you just said with the different types of foods that people would take to school and such. I don't remember having an experience where, I brought food from home to school and got made fun of, but my siblings had that issue, and they're much older than I am, and so, it was long ago when there was almost no exposure in the LA area to people who were black, but were not African American black. So my siblings would take their rice and beans to school and such, and they were made fun of and called Black Mexicans, which is pejorative in so many ways. But they had that experience, and it was tough for them. My oldest two siblings came from Hopkins at age, I think, 7 and 8. And they didn't speak English at all because they had lived in Hopkins from birth. So when my parents brought them over from having stayed with my grandparents over there in Hopkins, they didn't know any English. So they had a really tough time going to school in Los Angeles and having to learn English at age 7 and 8. They had challenges catching up in the classes. And of course, they were made fun of as well by the kids, because kids don't really know any better. But my own experience that I can remember is that I think one of my dad's friends, I think it was Mr. Clifford Palacio, the Honorable Clifford Palacio, he asked me one day, and I think I was probably in first grade. He asked me something. I think he asked me, what does your dad speak? I said, no, I don't think, my dad doesn't speak English. I told him, my dad doesn't speak English. He only speaks Garifuna. And that is because of the way I grew up. I still, to this day, I don't speak English to my dad. We only speak Garifuna to each other. So as a kid, I didn't have any wherewithal or I didn't know the difference, because I only saw my dad speaking Garifuna. So I would tell people that my dad does not speak any English because I did not know that he spoke English when I was a child. Right.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing that piece of information. That I guess it's a moment that you remember, and it's truly amazing to see that every family relates to. I am sure that everybody relates to your story. Different from other African American black children in your school.
Well, I think I always knew because of the way that I was raised. There wasn't a moment in my life where I woke up and said, "Oh my goodness, I'm different." It was just the fabric of my being from the beginning. My parents raised us to know who we were, to know that we were Garifuna people, and there was never any attempt to assimilate us into African American culture. So that was just a given, that I knew that there was a huge difference.
I guess my next question was already answered because you spoke about your own experience and the experience of somebody else, some of your siblings bringing Garifuna food to school. But how did you become interested in your culture? I guess that's kind of a stupid question because you were born in it. But then there is more to Garifuna than what you experience at home. There is the other aspects that you have picked up and learned along the way now that you are an adult. Tell us about that.
Not a stupid question at all, because even though I grew up in this sort of microcosm of, just being Garifuna 100% of the time, there was a moment in my 20s when I just really wanted to know more about who I am, where I come from, and what it all means. So I could say probably when I started to study, because I have a degree in linguistics, and I started to study Spanish and French, and I kept seeing all of these borrowed words. Wow. And I was like, I should dig deeper. So then a lot of my papers that I had to write and my research that I did when I was in college centered around the Garifuna language and the culture, because I just became a little bit obsessed with knowing who I was and where I came from, and you know, the little minute details of what it all is. So I would say sometime in my 20s is when that spark happened inside me.
Wow, that's a big wow. Because I thought when I asked the question, but that it was a stupid question, but indeed, no, there is more to it than just growing up in a Garifuna home. So you know that the language is in danger of extinction, and we know other issues are going on in the Garifuna communities. But we'll leave that for the next question, because I don't want to skip. I want to keep it in order. I want to send a big shout out to my very good friend. Let me see if I remember his name. Let's see, Mr. Gregory Arana Nunez, who is tuning in the Bronx. Gregory is from Labuga, Livingston, and he is tuning in. So I want to send a big shout out. He said hello via Messenger, and many, many more people who are tuning in tonight. Let's see. At what age did you travel with your parents to Hopkins or on your own for the first time to your beloved Hopkins, Belize?
So even though my dad came to the United States in the 1970s, he really was not ready to fully move. He always had plans to go back. And so every summer, I don't know, I haven't asked my siblings this, I should talk to them about it more, but as far as I can remember, every summer when I was a kid, we used to go. And this is to the extent that there is a stamp on the back of my birth certificate admitting me to Belize in August of that year, and I was born in May. So I was about 3 months old the first time I went to Hopkins. And so from then on until I was about 14 or 15, and I was just too cool to do that. We used to go every summer for 2-3 months, and you know, I would just be there playing on the beach with my cousins and running back and forth in the village, and you know, it was just part of my norm to be there once a year. And so now, when I was 14 or 15, then I stopped going because I was just, you know, a teenager and I didn't want to do those things anymore. But I went again for the first time probably 13 to 15 years later. So this is about 3-4 years ago. And a lot had changed, of course, but I was there as an adult now. So I saw a whole different side of Hopkins, even though if I had gone as an adult when I was, you know, when it was the early 90s, I probably wouldn't have seen clubs and nightlife and such. And that was a time when people just did not arrive in Hopkins at night. There were no street lights, and you wouldn't arrive at night. But when I went a few years ago for the first time again, I got there at night and I saw all the lights and I was amazed. And there are tourists all over the place now and resorts and such, which I love. But yeah, I've been going my whole life now. save, a chunk of 10 to 15 years. But yeah, since I was a little baby.
Wow, that's good to know. I know you have traveled to Honduras because we talked about it personally on many occasions that we've collaborated in doing things here in Los Angeles. So my question is, what other countries have you visited besides Belize, and how interesting was your trip to that country?
So as you said, I did have the chance to go to Honduras. Honduras is beautiful, and I think I flew into San Pedro Sula, and from there went to Tela, Triunfo de la Cruz, where a few of the people from the Ballet Folklorico live. And so they were there on their Christmas break. And I spent some time with them, and, going to the places where our people live is always fun because everybody's friendly and you feel like you're at home. You're not going to starve. You're not going to be without a place to stay. You just feel safe. And even though, the U.S. has travel warnings about going to Honduras, I would go back again, but I just wouldn't go through Tegucigalpa or San Pedro Sula. I would love to just take a boat and get off in Triunfo de la Cruz or Corozal or Sambo Creek or, one of our places over there because it's safe. So, I want to take a trip back soon. Hopefully someone will send for me. But we'll see.
Yes, definitely. You kind of shortchanged me on this question. I want more because I know you had a wonderful experience visiting, I think you went to Tornabé. No, not Tornabé. What is the name of that place? Beautiful place. You went to Triunfo, Corozal, and Sambo Creek. No, there was another one that you went to. And I think it was some of the members of the Ballet Folklorico Garifuna who you met when they came here to perform in Los Angeles, who guided you, who they were your travel guides as you were in Honduras. How was the reception? How did these guys feel when they saw you over there? Because they probably thought, these girls are American. They don't know the Garifuna way, and because they know you, but they don't know you like that.
That is true. So they were everyone was very welcoming, and even though I clearly have an American accent when I speak any other language other than English, they didn't hold that against me. I chopped it up between Spanish and Garifuna because, even though you say I'm fluent, lots of people like to say I'm fluent. I'm not that fluent. I am stunted in my vocabulary to an extent because I didn't grow up with peers. People my age don't speak Garifuna in LA. So I speak to my parents, and I'm not going to say certain things to my parents, and they're not going to teach me certain words in Garifuna because, so I have a stunted level of vocabulary because it's not going to happen with my parents with some of those concepts. Anyway, back on the topic. I chopped it up between Garifuna and Spanish with them. But then there was the one guy, unfortunately he's passed away since then, in Triunfo, who said, but when I started to speak Spanish, he said, speak to me in Garifuna because I would start to rely more on Spanish sometimes. Wow. And it's like, okay, well, I'll speak to you in Garifuna then. But yeah, they were all very welcoming, and it was fun. Since it was Christmas time, they had Pia Manati going on in the streets, and I was so fascinated because they were going around from house to house, and I was like, I'm here at the perfect time to see all of this. And I think I have video on my old phone, but I'm going to need to look it up again. But yeah, it was a great time.
Well, Amenica, you really, now this time you really gave me what I paid for. A shilling. I want to send a big shout out to our beautiful birthday girl, Delo Galdes, who is listening in Chicago. Yes, you will. Hold on, and I gotta make sure that I mention the next person before he kills me. It is Clayton C. Williams is listening in Belize, so here you go.
Happy birthday, cousin.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. I hope you had a great day, great night, great everything, and many, many more. And hey, C. Wills, what's up?
Yes, no, definitely. I want to make sure that Diallo Galdes gets his greeting, but I do appreciate your support all the time to our radio show. She's always listening in Chicago, whether it's hot, cold, or snowed in, like it is probably right around this time. Yeah, I want to wish you a happy birthday, and I hope that you find out who took those precious medals from you, whoever thieved them from you, okay? I read your post. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. We are live and direct from the studios in Long Beach, and we have in the studio Miss Garifuna 2015-16, Miss Amenica Zuñiga, who is a true Garifuna American. Now, you are currently, well, no, you graduated already. You have a bachelor's degree, and you already mentioned that you took some language classes, French and so on and so forth, and that must be amazing in as far as discovering that Garifuna has a lot of borrowed words from French. And for those of you who don't know the history of Garifuna, if you go and Google it a little bit, you know that Garifuna had encounters with the French and the English and the Spanish and the Spaniards, I would say. So in the fact that the Garifuna language is made up of Arawak, Carib, and of course only like 1% African, you know. So it is an amazing language. It is an amazing people. It is what we're here for. We are here to present to you the people, the movers, the shakers, and we consider Amenica to be a person of value. Let's talk about Miss Garifuna Los Angeles. A lot of people thought that you were far ahead of other contestants as far as your ability to speak Garifuna English and Spanish fluently. How prepared were you for Miss Garifuna pageant?
I was completely unprepared. I was told that I was going to be in the pageant. My cousin Perry was one of the organizers, and he said, yeah, you're going to be in the pageant because, you know, you would represent your people very well, and, you know, like it was just decided. But, you know, I went in a little bit reluctantly because I'm not the person to put myself out there normally. Like, even if you ask around about me, no one will tell you, yeah, she loves being on stage. But I embraced it, and I ended up having a wonderful time, and it was a good opportunity to learn even more about our culture, because I had Miss Anita Martinez helping me out as my coach, and for probably the last 2 weeks before the pageant, I was from work going straight to her house after work to practice. And even though I had written everything I wanted to say, like I mentioned earlier, I still have those deficits in my vocabulary, and I had grammatical errors, which, oh my goodness, I'm not used to being, you know, having grammatical errors in my language. It just threw me back. And so with her help, as an elder, an elder who is very scholarly, she really helped me a lot. And I'll tell you a story. There was one day when we were going over one of my speeches that I wanted to give, and I said Gabusand for cemetery. Oh. And she said, that's not how you say it. Well, I say Gamusand. And I was like, that's weird. Why do we say it differently? So I wondered, with my linguistic background, I started to wonder. I always love to research things. And I said, you know what? Santo is not, that's a borrowed word from Spanish. So let's look up the other words for, because I know cementario is cemetery. So I looked it up in Google Translate, and another word for cemetery is Camposanto in Spanish.
In Spanish, yeah.
Right? So then I said, oh my goodness, that's why, because either the, I don't want to get into linguistic speak right now, but either the M or the P will disappear when it's borrowed over into another language, into Garifuna, because that's just how things work when they're borrowed over. So that was surprising and lovely, and it just, I love knowing those things and finding out, you know, why things are the way they are. But yeah, that was one of the experiences that I had in training for this pageant, and there were a lot more of experiences, especially when we were at practice, and you know, the community would show up, and people were excited for a long time about this pageant. People were showing up to our practices, and you know, they were so happy to see what we were doing, and they were really excited about the fact that they would get to go and see this pageant after 5 years of not having had one in LA.
Wow, thank you for that, Amenica. So I'm sure that so the word Camposanto is the word for cemetery in Garifuna, and so in your research, was there anybody trying to add another word to the Garifuna vocabulary, or just that stays the way it is?
You mean with Camposanto? Well, linguistically speaking, or anthropologically speaking, I would say that this is my hypothesis on it, and I'm going to kind of get technical. But when we borrow a word, it's because usually the concept has been borrowed as well. I don't know if we buried our people before the Spanish came to this side of the world. There's lots of evidence that other Native American cultures put their people in mounds, and they don't put them under the ground. But in Europe, they were burying people in the ground. So I don't know if that's because we borrowed the concept of putting people in the ground, and then that term came over with that concept. But yeah, but it could be an Arawak or a Carib thing. Yeah, so, I mean, I see a lot of similarities when it comes to the Native American cultures in North and South America. And so it could just be that we didn't bury our people that way until the Spanish came over. And then we borrowed the term with the concept.
Thank you for that. Scholarly said, very nice. You have a gifted voice. Are you in the mood to give us a little vocals? Work those vocal cords right now for us. It's up to you. You don't have to do it. Even though the audience is, yeah, let's do it. I want to hear that voice. I know one of the things that you did that really stole the public's vote, and the vote from the judges during the Miss Garifuna competition, was the fact that you played the guitar and you were singing. So that kind of took away from a lot of other contestants.
Yeah, so I didn't know what to do. Well, I know I wanted to sing Yugada from the beginning because, you know, I was Miss Hopkins, so why not sing Yugada, right? Because it's the song, you know, paying homage to Hopkins in a way. But I had a really hard time trying to find someone to teach me how to play the guitar for that, because I don't play guitar. So I was looking, and I said, oh my gosh, I'm probably going to have someone play the guitar for me. But then I said, you know what? YouTube will be my teacher. So I went on YouTube and I learned, simple things about chords. And I found the correct chords that I needed to play the song. And it took me about 2 months to, get it good enough to do on stage and sing at the same. My goodness, singing at the same time as strumming the guitar, so difficult. But it took me about 2 months to, do well at the guitar and then sing at the same time and put it together. And so that's what I ended up doing for the pageant.
Now singing, please. You're not gonna get away with just that.
So I guess I'll sing you Ghana. Okay.
You could sing the song that you recorded with Glenn.
What song?
You put a song in
Oh, Tuagu Bigidara. Yeah. Okay. Tuagu Bigidara tia nesebeda Luagu bumalale. Oh my goodness, I just cracked. My goodness, Ronnie. You want me to keep going? Mama wa ya bia ya lune wa daria ho. Wa ya bia ya lune wa saria ho. Wo de bagu yo hone wa marigo. Okay.
That's enough. We're not gonna torture you too much. I know it's hard because you're forcing your vocal cords, but you're great. The only thing is that when I hear you sing the Garifuna, I could really hear the clarity in your spoken Garifuna. When you sing it is as good. So I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but I think you sing beautiful and you also say the words very nicely. What was that? Eloquently is the word. See, I'm not all that loose on my language right now. Thank you for that, Amenica. That was great. That was some nice performance there. As part of your legacy, now that you are Miss Garifuna 2015-16, you have some plans to help children retain the language and culture. Can you talk about it, please?
Yeah, so I've been trying to go visit Gulisi School in Dangriga. I didn't have the time when I was there. Right for the 19th, I was there in Belize, and I had such a packed schedule that I didn't have time to visit. But I did when I was in Dangriga for the 19th Mass and such. We processed to the park and they had a little ceremony. And the Prime Minister, who I met, he's nice, but he gifted a grant to Gulisi School from the government of Belize. So I would like to see, if it's come through yet, what their plans are with the grant. And I think it would help a lot because, funds are hard to come by when it comes to those kinds of projects. But yeah, I was the children's class Garifuna teacher for GAHFU for a bit. And, I know that it starts with the children, even though, adults will do their best to try and pick up the language. One of the signs of language death is when people of a certain age are the only ones left speaking it. And so we have different regions in the Garifuna nation. And, even though there are still children who speak it in Belize and especially in Hopkins, and in Honduras and Labuga, we have a crisis in LA. And this crisis has been going on for a long time. Even when my siblings were younger, they're in their 40s, and people their age didn't grow up speaking it. So it really starts with the children. You have to get it into the children. And there's even proof that it works when you infuse the language into the children, that it can be revitalized. I think it was the Cherokee Nation in the United States. They had a project where they had an immersion school, where they had a sign over the door of the school saying, "English stops here." So you walk in and you're speaking nothing but the Cherokee language, you're writing in the Cherokee language, and now they have grandparents speaking to their grandchildren in their fluent native language. So their language is being revitalized. Even though the parents may not be able to speak it, once you get it into the kids will speak it with each other, and they'll teach their kids, and it's back. So, that's the best way to revitalize and to keep a language going, is to start with the kids.
Thank you for that. That was very nice of you to share that experience with the Cherokee. I believe that the language won't disappear, but that's only my perception, because Garifuna is so strong, is so much embedded into the children in the homes in Honduras and Belize and Guatemala and Nicaragua. And Nicaragua is a good example of that, because they had for a long time not been able to retain or speak the language, but it took a visit from Andy Palacio, and then after Andy, other committees went there and brought back the language. So now there's a movement in Nicaragua led by Kenzie Zambula, bringing back the language and the culture, the drumming and all of that. And the same thing is happening in St. Vincent. But you are right, though. When you are in a host nation such as Honduras, Guatemala, Nicaragua, where they speak Spanish out the door, once they step out of their home, it's all in Spanish, then there is a problem. In Belize is the same thing. Once you step out of your home, Hopkins or going to the streets, then it's all Creole or English. So there is a problem, but I think there is also the wanna belong, the desire to maintain the culture, just like this movement has been started in Belize with all these wonderful musicians. And I want to give it to Clayton Williams and all these young performers that are coming out of Dangriga, Hopkins, Siembite, and Penny, Punta Gorda, with the Battle of the Drums. So everybody is contributing little by little into bringing back the culture and the traditions and the language. And the language is staying strong in Barranco and in all of the 6 Garifuna communities in Belize and 2 in Guatemala and like 50 in Honduras and like maybe about 6 or 7 or 10 in Nicaragua. So there's hope. Amenica, thank you so much for spending almost an hour with us. Do you have a special message for our beautiful audience before we let you go?
Yes, audience. I want to thank everyone for all of their support. It was so nice to see so many people at that pageant. And it just goes to show that, the LA community is, even people from outside of LA, we love to support cultural events. And especially when they're done with a pureness, with a positivity, and with the goal to uplift and maintain our culture. So it was great to see people coming out for an event that was the week before the 19th. I know that people come out for the 19th. You know, that's just ubiquitous with the 19th. It's party time. But, you know, for people to come out the week before and for it to be standing room only in there, it was touching to see that. So thanks for all the support. Continue and, you know, keep uplifting the culture.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you for coming to our studio, Amenica. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Garifuna Music and Talk with DJ Labuga. Tonight, we had the pleasure of speaking with Amenica Zuñiga, who is the daughter of Belizean Garifuna parents, Eric and Emma Zuñiga. She's a graduate of University of California at Riverside, and she received a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Spanish language and linguistics. And as a language scientist, editor, and proud Garifuna woman, she has chosen to dedicate her reign as Miss Garifuna 2015-2016 to the pursuit of language preservation in the Garifuna community. So we're going to take you up on the fact that you said that at one time you were working with GAHFU and teaching, because you did actually sat in a classroom for an entire 8-week session and taught the Garifuna language through drawing and doing all kinds of things with the children. That was magnificent. Thank you for that. So we're gonna be knocking on your door again soon, so that we could continue that. You know, it's a wonderful thing that you give back, and appreciate that. Thank you, Amenica. Anything else?
I don't know if she's listening, but Miss Garifuna, New York, Vanessa Mejia, hello. Yeah, and I hope you guys can get an interview with her too, because I reached out to her because I want to know, you know, my fellow queens. I met the queen in Belize too. She's very nice. But yeah, it's nice for us to all know each other, and I want there to be more interaction between the people in New York and people in LA, people in Chicago, Houston, and also in LA between all of us with our different parent countries, that we're all Garifuna, and we all need to go to each other's events because we are all Garifuna first. Everything else is next.
Right. That's right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now I want you to enjoy your dinner. I cooked for you and the family tonight. I made spaghetti aglio e olio along with a side of ground beef and vegetables. So you're going to love it. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been the wonderful Miss Garifuna 2015-16 Amenica Zuñiga. Isn't she wonderful? Very talented. So